It comes of clay, wood, and stone, carried, refined, molded somehow into one great moment that never stops talking. These were the words of the Elizabeth Catlett poem, based on the revolutionary sculptor that helped to shape the indelible images that have come to represent the most poignant statements of strife, struggle, and victory as experienced by African Americans. Through her work, Elizabeth Catlett was able to send messages that fostered solidarity among the oppressed with whom she sympathized. Her style, a unique fusion of cultures, gave even more meaning to her messages. My name is Stephanie Oyibo. I am a freshman biochemistry major at the University of Arkansas, and the sculpture I have chosen is Black Unity by Elizabeth Catlett, which can be found at the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Bentonville, Arkansas. Elizabeth Catlett was born on April 15, 1919, in Washington, D.C. At the time, the United States was being plagued by racial tension, and Catlett bore witness to it all. She had been told stories by her grandmother and her mother, and each of these stories portrayed the resilience of African American women and inspired her to bring awareness to the hardworking African American women by utilizing her art. This can be seen in her mother and child collections. Catlett attended Howard University, a feat that made her one of the very few women to be accepted into art schools at the time. It was while she was at Howard that she made the acquaintance of James Herring, who introduced her to modernism. She later moved to New York, where she was the student of the modernist sculptor Osip Zadkin. Here she was exposed to the abstracts of African art, and this can be seen in most of her works, including Black Unity. During the time that this sculpture was made, Black leaders in America, such as Reverend Alexander Crummell, began to encourage Black communities to come together to stand against oppression. In response to this gospel of unity, Elizabeth Catlett made Black Unity. This image has come to stand as a representation of the struggle and fight for equality in the world. Even today, this clenched fist can be seen in protest against injustice. Black Unity is a wood sculpture made of dark mahogany. On one side of the sculpture is a clenched fist, and on the other side are faces of a man and woman, done in the style of African masks. The faces and fists are heavily stylized and abstract. The sculpture bears the texture of polished wood, and geometric shapes are used to construct the eyes and heads, which are oval, the triangular noses, and the rectangular shape of the fingers of the clenched fist. Negative space is used in the clenched fist to emphasize the folding of the fingers. This artwork can be analyzed through psychoanalysis. Elizabeth Catlett, being African American, used this artwork as a representation of her inner thoughts. The strength is described as unexpected because it was coming from a group that had been under severe oppression. That is, this artwork symbolizes a different kind of strength. This art is a representation of modernism, an art style that Catlett had adopted. In this sculpture, Catlett fuses some ideas of Cubism, as is seen in the use of geometric shapes and abstraction, with African art forms. This fusion leads to a piece that is predominantly abstract. Black Unity also shows similarities with some other cultures, such as the Aegean as seen in Cycladic women and the Mesopotamian sculptures that were found in the Abu Temple, as both possess geometrically stylized sculptures. Through her sculptures, Catlett was able to capture the most important moments in history and present them in some but moving pieces. I was particularly moved by this piece as it describes and shows to me what people like me had to suffer and go through in order to have freedom. I believe that this sculpture, in spite of being made to stand as the face of Black pride and unity, stands for the unity of all the oppressed groups in the world and pride in each of their cultures. Only with art can such a message be passed at a glance.